Hey everybody, this is your Uncle Alex here with another sort of news update. I wouldn't know if I really would call this news. This is an article I've seen many times over the past decade or so, and the story itself occurred in the 1890s. So this isn't a news story by any means, but I haven't seen anything recent come up in weird news in Virginia, you guys. So this is something I've wanted to report on for a very long time, and now that I've got this sort of news segment format, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it here. So we're on the Weird News Daily .blogspot.com, and this is an article they posted in March of 2013. It's entitled "The Grand Caverns Cryptids," and here we have a photo, which is the basis of this entire article. So the story about the photo goes as such. This photo was taken in 1895 by an amateur spelunker photographer named Oren Jeffries while exploring an unmapped section of the Grand Caverns in southwestern Virginia. At the time it was taken, Jeffries was conducting photographic experiments using super long exposures to see if anything at all could be captured in the total absence of light, otherwise known as cave darkness. He would situate himself on level ground, extinguish his lantern, and then open up the lens of his homemade box camera for as long as he could stand the darkness. During one of these experiments, he heard something approach from the deeper recesses of the cave. Frightened, Jeffries abandoned his experiment and set off one of the blitz-licked flashes he uses for taking traditional photos underground. According to the report he later gave to a local newspaper, Jeffries saw three humanoid creatures staring at him from the shadows and took off running in the other direction and didn't stop running until he was topside. Several days later, he returned with three other men to retrieve his box camera. This is the image that was recorded on the film inside. I'm going to enlarge that so you guys can see it. I know I'm taking up a portion of the photo, but what's really important here is boom, boom, boom. You can really see it pretty clearly. Obviously, it's a bunch of rock formation all around, and this rock right here is sort of in the foreground, and this one's even closer. But then there's that 1, 2, 3 sets of beady eyes that look kind of glowing or reflective. It's all in a sepia tone, so you can't really tell the color. I would assume it's probably white or yellow. And if you look, it's kind of hard to see because of the quality of the image and the amount of light that's actually there to see. But there are there's at least one humanoid silhouette shape, at least vaguely humanoid. You can sort of see the rounding of a head and a shoulder here. So that could possibly be the shape of a body, and you would assume so because there are eyes right there, boom, boom. And then these two look like they're just sort of peeking over the rock. Now, I don't know if that story that I just read is true whatsoever. I've seen that story posted time and time again, pretty much verbatim. All three of those paragraphs. It's usually that short, sweet little bit of information. Pretty much those exact words, as far as I can remember. So, where that text came from, that's been copy and pasted around the internet, I don't know, to be honest. If anybody has any information, if anyone's good at internet sleuthing, which I am not, and knows something, go ahead and let me know. But the photo itself is, as far as I can tell, and as far as what I've read from photographers who have chimed in on the matter, this photo looks very legitimate. As far as, I don't know all the technical aspects of it. I've read it previously from different places, and photographers seem to think that this is an old photo from perhaps the 1890s, and it can't have been tampered with. There was no Photoshop back then. Now, of course, you could take this photo and do that now. Take an old photo and just add a little something to it. Adding these little pinpricks of light wouldn't be difficult at all. So I don't know the legitimacy to this, but I'd like to. And yeah, so far I've had no luck in tracking down any more legitimate sources other than things like these blogs online or Reddit. But I have seen it come up over and over again. I feel like it's a pretty interesting part of Virginia history, if true. Now, the Grand Caverns, if any of you guys know, it's open for tourism now these days. I did a second grade field trip there, I believe, and they've got it rigged up with all sorts of colored lights to make the stalactites and the stalagmites look really cool. It's a nice place to go. I would suggest visiting there if you've never been on a cave tour. It's very accessible. You know, they've got stairways and all that put in, handrails. And they've got tour guides, gift shops. You know, typical fare for touristy stuff. But it's a pretty cool little cave system. And I gotta say, if I saw 3 shadowy figures approaching me in a cave, I would be pretty freaked out too and get the heck out of there, leaving whatever I had behind, except for my source of light, to find my way out. And I have been in not necessarily unmapped cave systems before, but ones that have not really been messed with. You know, people might crawl in just to explore, but it's nothing official. It's like, oh, here's a cave, post it online, other people go and check it out too. And somebody might leave like a clipboard with a sign-in sheet, basically, just so that they know that you've been there in case you go missing or something, right? And being in those kinds of places is very uncomfortable. Not so much because you think that there might be some sort of creature lurking down there. I mean, there are a bunch of bats, which is awesome to me. I love the bats, but just the feeling that you're in a very tight and closed space, it's claustrophobic, and there's thousands of tons of dirt and rock just sitting right above your head. It's kind of scary being in something like that. So somebody to go down there all alone in complete darkness, that's a brave person. But anyway, if you guys have any more information on this story, I would love to hear more, and I can't find anything. So maybe with our powers combined, we'll get some more out of this story here. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in.